Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to your council meeting. And today we are excited to be here because we have a lot of work to do. And so for tonight, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council meeting of February 22nd, 2022 be adopted. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
And can I have a seconder?
Marvin.
Thank you, Marvin. And are there any additions to the existing agenda as presented?
Maybe not an addition, Mayor, but I would like to point out that I'm wearing red today in support of World Encephalitis Day. Thank you very much for the rest of you for that as well. I'm doing this to help bring awareness to encephalitis, which the vast majority of people don't know what it is. 78% of people have no idea that encephalitis is an inflammation of the brain. I would say until my 10-year-old niece got it, I would have been in those 78%. So today I'm wearing red to help create awareness and in love and support of my niece Maya.
Thank you, Henry.
Thank you.
And appreciate you sharing the stickers with us. And I also was one of those 78%. So just so that you know, and we want to make sure that people are aware. Thank you for drawing that to our attention.
Thank you.
All right, with that, all in favor of the agenda? And that is carried. You see, we've moved on fair over to this side. We wanted to have a balanced approach to our council tonight. Two of the members are missing. One is remote. Andrea is joining us remote, and Karina had other responsibilities that she couldn't join us. So thank you for letting us know what is going on. So, all right, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of February the 8th, 2022 be adopted. Mover?
Don Fair.
Thank you, Don. A seconder?
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Any errors or omissions from those council meeting minutes? Hearing none. All in favor? And that is carried. We have no correspondence to deal with today. However, we'll go right through to our finance and accounts payable. Be it resolved that the accounts payable in the amount of $674,237.64 as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Thank you, Henry. And a seconder?
Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions regarding the check register? Anything outstanding there that?
What's the Airbnb?
That is, I believe, for our new trainees,
For the police
for the
department.
police who are
Right.
training in
Oh,
Winnipeg.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Here you thought I was going on a vacation.
That's what I just figured I'd ask.
If there's one that comes through in March, maybe that's mine. Somehow I doubt it. Be it resolved that the Community Services meeting minutes for February the 8th, 2022 meeting be adopted. Mover?
Andrew.
I'll help you out.
Okay, Andrew and Marvin?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any questions regarding those minutes or any comments you want to add?
I just noted it's very exciting when you have community groups being very interested and committed to make a certain part of our city a better place. So that was a good presentation by the whips.
Yes, we appreciate community involvement in whatever projects that we're undertaking. And the Winkler Whips had a very excellent
Very nice.
presentation to our community services meeting, and really appreciate that. And I wish them all the success as they work towards improving the Diamond 5. Is
Diamond
it?
5.
Yeah.
Diamond 5. Yep. All right.
Yep, they have some good plans there.
Awesome, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Now, we are way ahead of schedule. Our public hearing doesn't start before 1:45.
That's right. Unless you
And-
want the presentation to go first, if they're ready.
Oh, absolutely.
Stephanie, are you there? And would you be ready to your presentation now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So just a little bit of background for council. From staff point of view, we've been interacting a little bit back and forth with Ash, and Stephanie will be able to give you a little bit more information on this group. They review the no smoking bylaws by different communities, and they provide input on, where you're at with your bylaw and what you can do to make some steps to improve. And just so that you know, Stephanie is married to our very own Scott Taves.
Well, welcome here, Stephanie, and thank you for coming to join us and share the information that you have. And we look forward to hearing your presentation.
Awesome. Would I be able to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
If that doesn't work, I have your presentation ready here and I can do it, but see if, now has
There,
that
that works.
spotlighted on yours? Yeah, okay. I think you're good to go.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. My name is Stephanie Taves. I've been working on a contract basis with ASH, or Action on Smoking and Health, doing some policy work as Jody had mentioned. So I'll just get right started. So Action on Smoking and Health was founded in Edmonton in 1979 and is one of Canada's leading tobacco control organizations with staff across the 4 Western provinces. So ASH provides local, provincial, national, and global leadership on tobacco control with a primary focus on preventing youth tobacco use. So the strategies that ASH use include raising public awareness and education, community mobilization, applied research, and advancement of public policy measures. But I just wanted to go through a few quick tobacco facts. So tobacco use places an enormous burden on our health and our quality of life. And tobacco use still kills 50,000 Canadians annually, which represents about 20% of all deaths. About 1 million Canadians are currently suffering from the consequences of tobacco use, and about 1 in every 2 long-term smoker will die from an illness resulting from tobacco use. In addition, secondhand smoke is harmful and kills approximately 1,000 Canadians annually. So in the recent years, there's been an explosive rise in vaping, particularly among youth. According to the last national survey, over 400,000 Canadian youth vaped in the last 30 days, and a majority of these adolescents will go on to develop a long-term addiction to nicotine. Children and youth who vape are at a three times of the risk of picking up a cigarette and starting to smoke cigarettes. And almost 100% of youth who vape started using flavored products. So modeling is a large essential element of childhood development, and it's very effective in learning mechanisms. So if we model healthy behaviors, we get healthy kids, and vice versa. So when we know that modeling can be just as influential on youth smoking behavior as the healthy behaviors. So to a 5-year-old, for example, smoking is smoking, whether that involves tobacco, nicotine, cannabis, cigarettes, etc. So the more smoking cues that a child receives during their childhood, so the more times that they see an individual smoking, the more likely they are to become smokers themselves. So ASH advocates for comprehensive public health restrictions on all forms of smoking and vaping to keep youth tobacco and nicotine free for life. So, and this is an area where municipalities can actually help the most. So we've put together a number of options that council could consider. So first of all, the broadest way to approach a bylaw with smoking would be, as you probably know, in Manitoba, the provincial government bans all public use of cannabis products. So bringing in line or creating a broad definition of smoking that includes any substances that can be smoked or vaped, and then bringing that in line with other restrictions on cannabis to create sort of an even playing field for all substances. However, a smoking bylaw should also include provisions to prohibit smoking in all public events in all parks and public spaces. So children and youth frequent public events and recreation spaces, including markets, walking paths, playgrounds, and sports fields. So youth should be fully protected from smoking and vaping in all of these places. The bylaws should also extend to all outdoor public events. So this would include private venues. So for example, a lot of events are sometimes set up in mall parking lots where children and youth will often frequent those events. So these events are also often crowded and with secondhand smoke. They can cause issues for individuals with asthma and other allergies. Some other considerations as well. So smoking bans should be expanded to all group living facilities. Residents of group living facilities should not be forced to breathe in secondhand smoke while they're in their home. And residents often are elderly and have other health conditions that can be aggravated by exposure to secondhand smoke. So the council could consider also banning smoking in all public housing units to provide further protection to vulnerable populations. Also, a growing number of municipalities have also included a ban on smoking in hotel and motel rooms to ensure that hotel workers and cleaning staff are fully protected from secondhand smoke. Many hotels and motels have already banned smoking in all of their rooms, but some have not. So this measure would ensure that all workers are protected and would create a level playing field for businesses. Finally, another consideration could be to apply licensing fees on tobacco and vaping retailers. So licensing fees can be redirected to youth education initiatives such as retailer training, communication engagement, and other enforcement. So one example is retailer training and enforcement to prevent illegal sales to minors. Signage is also a really important component of enforcement. So no smoking signs should be clearly visible and prominently placed. So this is just sort of a summary of some of the bylaws that actually show up in ASH's gold standard bylaw. So one of the ways that ASH can help municipalities is providing a gold standard bylaw with different provisions so that municipalities can check the provisions against their own bylaws and kind of see where they're at. ASH also provides a public policy or a policy hub that lists all of the applicable policies and resources available in each of the Western provinces. So this provides a list, also very kind of high level, where you can see like check marks, and they're categorized by municipalities, school districts, post-secondary institutions. So I'd encourage you to visit the website and compare Winkler's bylaw with the other bylaws in the 4 provinces. And that was everything for me. So I would be happy to take any questions you may have at this point, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation today.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Council, any questions of Stephanie?
Stephanie, as you guys reviewed our no smoking bylaw, what were some of the things that stood out to you where we could, I think from what I understood were?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in the presentation, ASH's goal is to work with municipalities to basically bring cannabis in line or tobacco in line with cannabis. So right now I can't go walking down the street smoking cannabis. So we would like to do the same thing with tobacco. The less that, for the reasons of social modeling, so the less likely that children are able to see someone smoking, the less likely they will be to pick up smoking themselves. So Winkler has a fairly strong bylaw. So like you said, it would be bringing it in line with cannabis restrictions so that there is no public place that you could actually smoke tobacco. So that would be just changing the one provision so that to broaden the definition of public places.
Right.
Yeah, so my question would be not only about acceptability, I'm not that concerned about that, but when you broaden it to that extent, for example, no smoking allowed outside, we're saying there's no smoking allowed inside. These people, we're not going to get everybody weaned off of tobacco. But when we originally adopted the marijuana bylaw, and we wanted to make sure that it was very, very much in line with the no smoking bylaw. And the no smoking bylaw was actually combined with the marijuana bylaw, I think, the way it is right now.
Well, there is, right now, it's smoking and vaping in our bylaw. And I don't know, I'm trying to recall if we mentioned
I remember at the time,
cannabis.
when I was on AMM and when the marijuana legalization was coming in, at that point in time, we as council reviewed our bylaws together with the restrictions with marijuana. I know one of the concerns was, for example, if you're living in a rental property and you have multiple suites in that property, and if you are allowed to smoke marijuana in that building, you can impact the rest of the tenants that are hooked up to the same ventilation system, which was then, it's part of the bylaw, right, where it's not allowed to smoke it indoors. Unless in your own private home, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know that we have it separated out in our bylaw to that extent. And I think that's what Stephanie is saying, is that if we treated it the same as the laws in regards to cannabis, that would take care of many of the other measures. Like, for example, one of the measures we have is that there's no smoking or vaping at an outdoor youth event
Right.
at our athletic fields. But that means if it's an adult event, that people can smoke and kids could be there. But if you bring it in line with the same as cannabis, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, then we don't have to have some of those other things because it's already covered, no smoking in public places.
Yeah, and I'll just add, because so the province, the reason that people can't smoke cannabis outdoors is actually, or in public places outdoors, is because of like provincial legislation. So bringing tobacco in line with cannabis in provincial legislation would cover it as well, so they would be on the same playing field.
Right.
So how difficult would that be to do as an individual municipality when the majority of the people aren't regulated that way? Like, is it kind of putting the cart before the horse, or?
So there's a number of municipalities in Alberta that have recently become smoke-free communities. So because they brought their bylaws in line with their provincial cannabis regulations, they've been able to say that we're officially a smoke-free community, so you're not able to smoke anywhere in the public. I guess the piece about enforcement, if that's particularly what you're asking about, so ASH recognizes that the goal isn't to get 100% enforcement or 100% all the time. It's the goal behind these types of smoking bylaws is to say, hey, we don't accept smoking in our communities. We want to have a healthy community, and we want to encourage healthy behaviors in our community, and to sort of create a social stigma around smoking so that individuals are less likely to do that. Most smokers usually, will kind of, they will look to see if they're able to smoke in a place before they light a cigarette, because smoking is somewhat stigmatized right now. So it's about setting out that expectation for your community that we don't accept this in public because we don't want children and youth being exposed to smoking or smoking behaviors.
Okay. Well, Appreciate it very much. I remember originally when I got the email, I thought, well, we have a no smoking bylaw, so I guess I wasn't quite understanding what you're looking for, but appreciate the presentation, and we will have that conversation in council and trying to figure out if we can work together and make this happen.
Awesome. Well, have a good evening.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
for your
Have a
time.
great
Thanks,
evening.
Stephanie.
Thanks, Stephanie.
All right. Thank you for that presentation, and we'll move along then. And be it resolved, this meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding public hearings. Mover?
Michael?
Carmen?
Hey, Michael and Marvin, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. And we'll move on to public hearing conditional use, CU 2022-001 variation and VA 2022-001 conditional use and variation, sorry.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, this is a combined public hearing for the conditional use and variation applications as stated by Mayor Harder. So the request here is to convert the former Valley Bowling Lanes building into a 5-unit commercial Bearland condominium. So location here is 655 Main Street. The applicant is Tripoli Developments on behalf of owners 10028809 Manitoba Limited. And the existing zoning there is CG Commercial General Zone. And I believe you as council have a report from the planning department on this as well. And we have not received any objections to either of these applications in our office.
thank you. I guess I think for us as council, we were all expecting it was going to come. So, any council has any concerns in regards to this
No.
application? No. Hearing none. Then be it resolved that this public hearing for conditional use application CU 2022-001 and variation application VA 2022-001 be closed. Mover?
Marvin?
Marvin, thank you. Seconder?
Michael?
Thank you, Michael. Any further questions regarding this application?
So the applicants were okay with the conditions, sidewalk conditions and all that? Or-
Yeah.
That's my understanding, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, ready for the vote? All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that council approve the variation application VA 2022-001. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Thank you. Seconder?
Don Fair?
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. We've had the presentation.
We also just,
12-2.
Up,
yeah,
12, okay, there,
12,
conditional, yep,
Yep.
okay. Well, that's the one you and Don.
the variation application is separate from the conditional use. So we have two
Oh, the
resolutions.
variation one, okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, be it resolved that council approves the variation application VA 2022-001. Mover,
Henry Siemens.
seconder,
Don Fair?
and all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that public hearings be adjourned for regular council meeting to reconvene. Mover,
Don
Marvin?
Fair?
okay, Marvin and Don, all in favor? That is carried. Going on to planning, be it resolved that council approves subdivision 4463-21-8169, subject to the payment of development fees, the amount of $6,897.50, representing the city's 2019 cost to construct the 6-foot concrete sidewalk on Main Street, ROW, directly in front of their property. Mover,
Henry Siemens.
seconder,
Don Fair?
any questions regarding that subdivision? I think everybody's aware of that one, right?
Yes, we are.
All in favor? And that is carried. Wow, that's it?
I think so.
Okay,
No media here today, so.
no, be it resolved, this regular meeting of council be adjourned. Mover?
Michael?
Don?
Michael and Don, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Au revoir. Good evening.